Hi guys, how y'all doing? I'm the Clone, and in today's video I'll be going over the Duskblade build, explain all the items in the build, give you guys the best room page, and lastly I'll let you guys know what this build is best at and when you should go for it. The Duskblade build itself can be really good when used in the right situations, and to be honest, it's extremely similar to the other crit builds. But all the crit builds have quite big differences in their playstyles, and that's because of the different mythic item in each build, and with this build, it's no different. The Duskblade is a really good item, especially when playing against a team full of squishy enemies. Now, you might say that the Prowler's Claw does the same job but better, as you can properly gap close to any enemy and one-shot them. And you're correct, the Claw is the best item at one-shotting anyone, but that's not what the Duskblade build wants to do. With a Duskblade build, you want to go for more than just one kill in a team fight, and that's because of how well its passive helps you in that regard. The Night Stalker gives you bonus damage on your first attack with a cooldown of 15 seconds. When you one-shot someone, your damage resets, while instantly making you invisible for 1.5 seconds. And that's what makes the Duskblade the best assassin item in terms of multi-kill potential. And because Shaco is the only champion in the game that can jump in the middle of a team fight with proper stealth, you can just go in, insta-kill someone, and before anyone realizes, you already got out with the stealth that you get from the Duskblade. Or eventually, if you're brave and fed, you can go for multi-kills, and that's where the real fun begins. Being able to reset your damage and your stealth will make you able to reposition and go straight for another one-shot. On top of that, the Duskblade is built from the dark, meaning that you already have really good early game, and it only gets better after you get a Duskblade, as you'll get 60 AD, 20 ability haste and 18 lethality, while its mythical passive provides you with even more ability haste whenever you get a legendary item, meaning that the Duskblade works perfectly when combined with the Essence River and Avory Quick Blades. The Essence River is the best non-mythical item on Shaco at the moment, and there's no point going over why it's so good, as its Spellblade passive speaks for itself and combined with a bonus damage from the Duskblade and a well-timed backstab on a squishy target. In terms of boots, you want to go for the Berserker's Greaves, so you can have as much damage as you can get. And for a fourth item, you want to go for the Collector if the enemy team has a bunch of squishies, the Lord dominates their guards if they have a tankier composition, or if you just feel like the Collector is not worth it. Or eventually, the Avory Quick Blades, as I've already mentioned before, they synergize really well with the high amount of ability haste you already have, so you can go for even more backstabs faster. And for a fifth item, you can go for the Infinity Age, as with it you'll get 60% crit, and because of its passive, your backstab crits will hit like a monster. Or you could just take a combination of any of the previous mentioned items. As a matter of fact, you can even go for the Molten Reminder if you need healing reduction, as the item gives crit as well, meaning that you can get some utility while not affecting the build's continuity. For a sixth item, you can take anything you want, as long as it gives crit. For instance, you can combine any of the previous presented options to create a full build, unless you really need some armor or magic resist, in which case I always recommend either the Movable Morpheus or the Death Dance. Here's the full build, and I personally like to call it next, 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 and next. Also, I don't really think there's any point to go over the runes, as I pretty much always go for the same page. The only thing that I'm going to say is, some people have suggested I go for Inspiration secondary with free boots and approach velocity, but the reason for why I still prefer Precision as secondary is, you already have your E slow, meaning that even though approach velocity does synergize really well with it, you don't really need it. It feels like an overkill anyways. Like, you're almost never going to need to attack someone 100 times to kill them. And even in the early game, as you can see, when I go for First Bloods, I almost always one-shot my target. Shaco's not that kind of champion that needs that extra movement speed, and if you do, as you find yourself in situations where you need to attack someone 100 times to kill them, then you're probably doing something wrong. And same goes for the boots. I always try to take boots early so I can be faster and catch my enemies. There's no point in crippling yourself by not being able to have boots until minute 8, 9 or even 10, and then take approach velocity to make up for it. And that's why I always take Legend to Accuracy, so I can be faster while farming and get where I need in time. While Coup de Grace is just a perfect all-rounder for when fighting low HP enemies, especially as it works best with Shaco's C Execute. Now that I've talked about everything you need to know about the build, and why it works, and the way it works, I want to give you a live, in-game example of how the build performs and to show you how I like to play with it. Except I actually had my microphone muted during the game and I didn't notice. Well, it's alright. Perhaps even better, as this way I'll be able to go over the game, analyze it, and then only write the important parts in the script and then share them with you. Although I guess we'll be missing some of my live reactions. Requiesca I pace. Anyways, I'm against Lee Sin and I start on the top side as usual to be able to invade him afterwards. I'm smurfing in this game and I believe that the average elo of this game is around plat 3, therefore this game can be relatable to almost anyone. One more thing that you can actually do at the start of the game though, by the way this is one Septillion IQ tip, what you can do is, as the game begins, if you start on the blue side, you can place a box from inside this bush in this bush, which helps deny any invaded level 1 while you're completely safe. and that's because you yourself are inside the bush while placing the box. Anyways, moving on, while I do the blow buff, my expectations are being subverted as I notice that the enemy bot lane is arriving early to lane while their top lane is late, and that can only mean one thing: the Lee started on the top side, or he didn't get the leash and their top laner was AFK for the first minute. But I don't think we should overthink it. I still want to invade, so what do? That's right, I go straight from my red buff now, then to his blue buff. Like this, I can get to level 3 before he even shows up to his blue buff, which means it's going to be an easy first blood for me. While I wait for him to show up, I also take the frog. But he actually turns out to be on the mid lane ganking after he took his top side jungle. In this situation, he's almost half HP, and I'm going to go for a one shot on him. That's why I try to see where he'll go and position accordingly. And as expected, he's taking the shortest route towards his blue buff, and I get to pretty much insta kill him. And that's because with Shaco, even at lower levels, because of her backstep crit, with your ease execute and ignite, you can one shot literally anyone if they're around half HP. And this is where Shaco's at his strongest, in the early game. Now the most important thing to do is focus on the skull crabs. And this is literally a perfect example of a level 3 fight. Always be extremely confident with Shaco at lower levels. And that's because you can easily escape anything while in the jungle, and because you have much more damage than most champions. Here their bot lane is trying to deny my skull crab, but I don't panic at all, because I know they've made a mistake. I use the scatter to dodge Jinx W and use my E to secure it. I do leave the scatter with 19 HP, but you get the idea. Now the Jinx and Lulu are coming for me, but look at how I'll simply tank all the damage. And as mentioned in previous videos, you can tank a lot of damage at lower levels because no one hits hard. I focus Lulu because she's lower HP, and here you can see their mistake, because they're getting flanked by both my mid and bot lane. They use most of their summoner spells and we get Jinx. I was not pre-made with my bot lane in this game, but since I always check the minimap, I realized that they were coming, and that's why I was stalling for them until they got there and we were able to secure Jinx. Also, if you're pre-made with someone, always ask them for help in those situations if you know that you can win them. Now I go straight for the other skull crab. I know that Lee Sin's there and I cannot really contest it alone. And if you know that you're at a disadvantage, never force a fight. Always fight on your own terms, when you want to and when you know you can win the fight. And you can especially do that with Shaco because you have so much mobility. Always be the one who dictates the way the fight will go. In this fight I realized that we are outnumbered as the Yasuo got caught and he ints. What a classic. Sang gets away with 1 HP and I try to look for an opportunity. Always when an enemy gets too far from their team and isolates themselves, feel safe to jump for them. I get the Lulu that way and Sang is next. Unfortunately, he does get away because of his shield and Lee Sin uses the plant. And by doing so, he just told me that he's trying to go for me. I managed to pull some evasive maneuvers and get away. For my first items, I go for the Dark, Boots and then Sheen if I have enough gold. Then I complete the Duskblade. And after I reset, I see that the bot lane is pushing and I know that I have the damage to one-shot Jinx. Let's stop time. This is again another perfect example of who to focus and when. Because Lulu's too far away from Jinx, she can't protect her, meaning that I can one-shot Jinx before Lulu even gets a chance to react. And this right here is how you want to play late game team fights. Always focus the isolated enemy while denying their vision with Oracle Lances. Now with the help of Lux we also get Lulu, and then we push the wave and take one plate. But instead of resetting like I did, my bot lane stayed. They got ganked by the Lee Sin and they both died. Big oof. But I see the opportunity to get a double kill. Always when going for cheeky assassinations, try to get as close as possible to them before using Q. In this instance, you can see how I use the vision system to go through the bushes, as I know that even though I'm super close to them, they still can't see me. I insta-kill Lulu, but then Jinx does that. So rip double kill. But I push the wave, and you should do this too. And I know super tilting to be a laner and have your jungler take your farm, but in these situations it's somewhat understandable. Especially after a successful gank, you should always help your laner push the wave, because like that you'll deny the enemy gold and XP. Anyways, here I make a mistake, and I want to show you this because it's quite interesting. My mistake was that because Jinx was low HP and my bot lane has arrived, I wanted to dive them. But what ends up happening is that both Lee Sin and Syndra come after me. Let's pause for 1 more second. You can see how they're all after me now, and the chance that I'll die it's approximately at 99% right now. And it's only because I'm Shaco, otherwise the chance would be at 100%. Anyways, my point is, right now while my team is farming, I'm wasting the time of 4 guys from the enemy team. And actually even if they kill me, it's not that bad. And that's because this is so fucking tilting for them. I mean, imagine having to run around the map after a only for him to do this. Alright, you got me. I didn't get away there, and that's because I was an idiot. I mean, that Q was so perfect, but I ran in the wrong direction. Anyways, my point is, as a wise man once said, when you know you're never lose hope. Messing with the enemies and annoying them until the last second is the best thing that you can do for your team. Waste the enemy team's time as much as you can, but not only, be as awkward as you can. Use your Q so stupidly that even you don't know where you're going. After I respawn, I get the Shin and Berserker's Greaves and focus the objectives now. The early game will soon end and that's why I focus the objectives, and you should especially do this if after checking all lanes you realize that none are open for ganks. Always do something, whether it's ganking, securing objectives, split pushing, you name it, but never ever just farm the jungle non-stop, because with Shaco you'll fall behind that way, and that's because our clear speed is much worse when compared to farming jungler. Moving on, I'm always looking to focus the bot lane as much as I can, and because Lulu is low HP, I dive for. With Shaco you can dive really well, as you can reset the tower's aggro with your clone as long as there are other minions, allies or a box besides you inside the tower's range. Otherwise be careful, as if you try to dive and are alone, after ulting the tower will always focus the real Shaco. You secure the first tower, then I secure the Herald, then I get the gold from the mid lane tower plates with it, focus the buffs, complete my Duskblade, and I play around the dragon. And I do that because always before an objective like the dragon and baron spawns, you should play around them and secure the respective area, especially the lanes. I gank the bot lane and secure both kills. Now we take the dragon for free, and since the Syndra pushed without any vision, we punish her. I secure one more kill and then I decide to help my team in the mid lane team fight. And you can see how the Jinx is literally walking away from her team, so I one-shot her. The Yasuo unfortunately dies, and I pull a cheeky one on the Lulu. PS, you should not really commit so hard for some kills, especially if you have a huge shutdown bounty on you. Now my team focuses Cyan and they all end up dying. Hashtag always focus the tank in low elo. Anyways, pause for one more second here. In this instance you can see that I want to gank the mid lane and the enemies are hitting the tower. Never go here. Why? Because that part is almost always warded. I mean, you can even see the Lulu walking up to it and warding that exact spot. And that's why you should always use this spot right here. I tap the Lulu for her foolishness and Jinx zones me with her E, so I can go for the sign as well. Anyways, Jinx is a complete idiot, so I can just do that to her. And then I secure their blue buff as Sign gets away. And in this instance, you can see me doing something rather odd. I queued in the middle of the lane without any vision. And I did that because I played early game so well that I'm really fed right now, so I can 1v1 anyone. And that's why I face check lanes like that. And if I don't like what I see, I usually can just walk away. But this instance also serves to show how defensive the Syndra plays and how tryhard she is. People that do that thing where they move right and left on the spot are usually tryhards and they think they know what they're doing. It's kind of the equivalent of that one guy in shooter games who keeps switching between his weapons really fast.
Suka, блядь, иди нахуй.
But I mean, of course, like this can actually make it a lot harder for people to hit you with skill shots, but it usually just functions as an indicator that those people really do think they know what they're doing. Anyways, their team is also building a lot of defensive items. Syndra's going for Zhonya's, spoiler alert, she'll me later with it, and Jinx is going for the Guardian Angel. Spoiler alert, she'll get away later in the game just because of it. And the Lee Sin is building tanky, while Cyan, well, Cyan's just Cyan. The only guy that I can one-shot is Lulu, and she has that super infamous ult that can deny any of my attempts to one-shot anyone in their team. Now I get a Herald and we all die mid lane. And this is actually a perfect example of how a fight can go wrong, especially when the enemies have literally everything up. As I'm going for the Jinx and Lulu, not only does she flash, but she also heals, and the Lulu ults her, while she boosts herself and gets away. Syndra snaps me with a 10 years long stun, and then she ults, one-shotting me, and my whole team manages to die. Except for the Malphite, but whatever, he doesn't really count. And right now I was thinking, holy smokes, if I want to win this game, I'll have to carry. And from here on out, I will show you how to carry the late game. One of the first strategies that I like to use is split pushing. Not only because you pressure the map, but also because you'll get a ton of XP and gold from the minions that you'll push. You'll even see later in the game how I'll literally be level 18 while my team is still level 14. Now I target the Jinx, and because she is literally solo pushing, hashtag only AD carry things, am I right? Because of her mistake, I one-shot her and I split push the bot lane. I use the Herald on the tower and recoil as I have to defend the mid lane. Actually, you die. Anyways, I have to defend my mid lane as my whole team inted. Dude, you literally just died together with your team. What are you talking about? Shut the f up, boys. This is my video and I'm trying to explain something, so let me make my point. Whatever. I get zoned by the Jinx again and they manage to get away. At least some of them wasted their summoner spells. And actually we do manage to get Cyan at the end.
Not even close, baby.
Now that I've pushed the bot lane, it's time for the top lane. A 90 Septillion IQ tricked the Lee Sin, and while his last 2 brain cells are leaving him, I last hit him. But let's actually pause again. What is this Lulu doing? She is with Syndra, and I understand that, and to be honest I somewhat even fear her, especially because I don't have my ult up. But my dude, you're way too far away from your bodyguard, and you know I was lasting inside that brush. Anyways, again, isolated enemy equals always getting one-shotted by me. Now I rotate to take the dragon, and because I know my damage, I want to rush it before the enemy team even realizes that I've started it. Now in this team fight, look at my positioning. See how I'm trying to get as close as possible before I jump in with Q? And I can do that because I know the way the vision system works. And as long as you can stay far away enough from the enemy team, they won't see you, meaning that you can just queue straight in the middle of the team fight and just walk towards their backline. Of course, it only works as long as they don't really expect you and they don't have any wards. I one-shot the Lulu, classic move, then we get a San as well. And after winning a fight, you should always look to push. We get a mid lane tower and there's nothing I can do to help Malphite in the situation. If I were to go in, I would just die as well. Oh, but guess who's back, guys? Our good old friend Lulu. She's back for more. They just can't get enough now, can they? Build wise, after completing the 3 core items, those being the Duskblade, Berserker's Greaves and Essence River, I went for the Collector, as I wanted to one-shot the Syndra, Jinx and the Lulu. Then I got the Infinity Age for extra coolness, and lastly, I'm going for the Lord Dominix, because from what I've noticed, the enemy team really does have a fetish for armor. Now I'm trying to force the Baron, because I really trust my damage. Meanwhile, my frontline does a perfect job at zoning the enemy carries, while the Lee Sin is trying to steal the Baron. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. And this is the Syndra moment I was talking about, where she really messed up my plan. Because of the Zonia, not only does she give herself time to reset her cooldowns, but also dodges my ease damage. Now she pulls a flash even a Faker would be proud of, and she actually almost gets me with only her E and ult. Now that we've won that fight, we all push. As they're about to respawn, I'm trying to zone them. I guess the better play would be to probably go for the tower and push together with Yasuo, but I'm trying to have some fun as well here. I mean, what the heck, why not? I'd end up recalling, and funny enough, I get an easy clap assist on Lulu with my box. Then the Lee Sin takes a leap of faith and ends up breaking his neck. Now after getting to full build, I only focus the buffs, and as I'm seeing Jinx farming the mid lane, I jump her. I easy clap one-shot her. Actually, what? It's not a problem, because I place box on her and okay, never mind. Now I'm like, screw it, and I just focus the dragon, because by getting it, we'll get our 4th Drake and get a dragon buff. Just like last time, I rush it as fast as possible and then join the team fight. Deja vu. Anyways, I follow up on the Syndra and double deja vu? Nah, this time I actually get her. But meanwhile, their team respawns, and while I'm trying to reset, Lux actually gets caught, but I can't let her die like that. I turn around and...
Ever get that feeling of deja vu?
Anyways, the Lee Sin and San kindly take me back to base, and I decide to swap my Collector for the Navori Quick Blades. And the reason for why I'm doing this is they already have a lot of armor, and the Collector's lethality is useless this late in the game. That's why I swap it for something else. And the Navori are the perfect choice, because 1, I want to reset my Q as fast as possible in team fights, and 2, as I said earlier in the video, the Navori's ability haste stacks perfectly with the Duskblade. Now when it comes to the ending, it's really interesting. Remember when I talked about the benefits of split pushing? Here both teams are clashing mid lane. And to be honest, I think that if the enemy team would properly engage right now, they would actually have quite a decent chance at even winning this fight and potentially turn the game around and maybe even end. But here's where my split pushing strategy comes in. Because I'm pushing the top lane, their team is forced to come and do something about it. And by doing so, they open themselves up. They were facing my team head on, but now they oriented their focus towards me, which gave my team the opportunity to flank them and destroy their positioning. As a matter of fact, they're all over the place right now. Lulu gets caught, what a classic. And then they just all start to fall apart. I don't even need to be there. Ultimately, as they're all pinned down, I go for a backdoor and so the game ends. Now to quickly go over the endgame stats and to give you guys 1 or 2 insights on the game. Now I did say that I was smurfing in plat, which may not seem the case, but because Riot Games changed the way flag skill works, I was playing pre-made with my top laner and mid laner, which are much higher than this account is. Meaning that despite this account just being promoted to Silver 4, this game was indeed played in Platilo. Oof, now that I've got it out of the way, let's look at the stats. Actually, wait a second, if you think about it, from the enemy's perspective, I was literally a bronze 1 Shaco player shitting on them. I'm pretty sure that we've all figured out that you're a smurf. Shut the f**k up, I told you to go away, for f**k's sakes, random voice. Anyways, some of you asked me how to get an S plus on Shaco, and some of you answered that the best way to get an S plus on Shaco is to ward and to farm a lot while having a good KDA. But it's not quite it. The way you're receiving your grade is, your performance from a game is being compared with all other players that played Shaco jungle in the last weeks, for instance. And if all those Shaco players fed really hard, even if you'll only have a mediocre game, since your performance grading is relative to others, you'll still get an S, even though again, maybe you didn't even play that well that game. And the the way the grading works is not as most of you may think. Farm, wards, KDA, none of those really matter, at least not individually. And what I mean by that is only 3 things matter when your score is being calculated. 1. Gold, how much you got and how fast you got it. Combat, for instance, how much damage you did to objectives. For instance, if you have a game where you had 30 kills but did 0 damage to objectives, you might as well not get an S. What matters is all the types of damage, then your KDA counts in. And lastly, for the third parameter, you have the vision score. And you can literally buy 100 words and get 0 points here. Because they're not being graded by how many words you place, but by how many enemies your words have spotted, and also what's important is the word's placement. You can also get vision score points by spotting words with your detector, destroying any kind of words yourself, destroying any words revealed by our team, and also you receive points whenever one of your allies destroys a word spotted by you. And now, as you can see, because of how much damage I did to objectives, when compared to anyone in the game, it becomes clear what my priorities are. And I can easily focus the objectives because of how aggressive I played in the early game, which ultimately gives me an easy time when I need and want to focus the objectives. And that's simply because I'm ahead. And when it comes to the vision score, as a jungler, it's always good to be second to the support. Lastly, we can check my gold, which is almost twice as much as my own 8 carries, and the KDA is really good. But never ever think about a KDA. As long as you can win a trade by sacrificing yourself, always go for it. As winning fights and then ultimately winning the game is much more important than just not dying once. Anyways, this is my guide on the Duskblade. It really does take me quite a while to make these videos, so if you guys enjoyed it and want to see more in the future, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe. I think I'm officially done with all the AD builds that I wanted to feature in separate guides, so from now on, the next videos will be on AP Shaco, and then I'll do a huge video on all Shaco builds and which are best and so on. And in the meanwhile, I'll be posting full gameplays whenever I get a chance. But until then, as always guys, don't trip and break your necks. Stay safe. I actually forgot to say thanks for watching, so thanks for watching. Woo!